Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
You know, there's a phrase that's been around for the last couple of years that says, we're all better together. We're all better together. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a crowd of people, maybe family at a holiday or family at a family reunion or in a workspace, regardless of how large the group is, 3 people, 35 people, 350, 3,500 people, and you find that even though there's a whole crowd of people there, you just can't get along. It's almost like you're pulled in different directions. You have different agendas, goals, purposes, objectives. Well, if we're all better together, how is that supposed to work? It's exactly what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. I can tell you now, after 28 years of marriage, the first, probably 2, 3, 5, 6 months, years, 10 years, the first 10 years, we really struggled with the identity of purpose as a couple. Not that we didn't love each other, not that we didn't adore each other and want to spend every waking moment together. For the most part, we did. And that was part of the challenge. Because it's not possible to build a family and build a career if you can't figure out which one is more important. Now, a lot of that has to do with the choice of roles in the relationship and who's going to carry which ball when. I remember early in our relationship, one of the challenges that I had was that I dealt like many fathers did with what I think, even to this day, and my baby's 24 years old, I have grandkids now that are driving. How frightening is that? But when I think back to the days that I heard that phrase that so many young men grew up with as a terrifying phrase, and I grew up with as a father, devastating the relationships that I had with my kids. Just wait till your father gets home. That was the phrase. Just wait till your father gets home. Now, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, as a kid, that sounds just like when the wife says to the husband, we need to talk. Oh, it's just anticipation and it's anxiety and it's all of the biochemical things going off in your head at one time that just scare the bejeebers out of people. Not because there's necessarily anything frightening attached to it. It's just the thought of it. I remember the very first Calvin and Hobbes cartoon I saw. The cat was leaned against the tree. And the little boy comes up with a water balloon in his hand. And he said, what would you do if I hit you with this water balloon? He says, imagine the worst possible thing that could ever happen. And you see him with a puzzled look on his face. He said, now multiply that times 10 million. Really puzzled look on his face. And in the last scene, you see the little boy running from a very angry wet cat. And he said, if you knew how bad it was going to be when you threw that water balloon, why did you throw it anyway? He said, you piqued my curiosity. I think a lot of times the anxiety, the fear, the unknown is worse than the actual punishment. But I can also tell you that it's a really sad and scary form of blame shifting, of throwing off on somebody else what you don't want to deal with. Now, I'm not saying that specifically about my family relationship, but I'm telling you in general, when a father spends all day at work and he wants to come home and spend time with his kids, especially toddlers, especially toddler boys, you can guarantee that through the course of the day, they've gotten into something they weren't supposed to. They've done something they're going to get in trouble for. And if mom hasn't already dealt with that, when dad comes home and dad has to deal with that, what that means is that for the rest of their time together, every time dad comes home, there's an inclination that dad's coming home to settle the score. Dad's coming home to make things right. Dad's coming home to discipline the problems that you had all day. It doesn't take much of life experience as a toddler, as a little boy especially, to begin to have a fearful, anxious relationship with your father. We're all better together. Well, yes, we are, but there's one key to that together. You've got to actually be together, not just geo-located in the same space. Collocation and together are not the same thing. Well, that's not just true in husband-wife, family-child relationships. No, that's actually very, very true in leadership roles as well. How often have you been the leader of a group? Again, whether it's your family at home or a corporation or as a volunteer firefighter, I remember having a driver trainee that would not take instruction. He simply would not do what he was told. And he put our lives in danger on multiple occasions because at 22 years old, he knew better than anybody else in the fire station. He didn't listen to me. He didn't listen to the chief. He didn't listen to his own father, who was the assistant chief at the time. He did exactly what he wanted to do, and we ended up having to fire him from a volunteer role. Why? Well, we were all co-located. We would ride on the truck together to a fire scene, but we were not together. We were not on the same page. We were not operating as a team. We're better together is only true when you're actually together. You've got to be willing to submit to common goals. But first, you got to figure out what those common goals are. What is it that we, together, need to accomplish? And it should be true that we, together, can do more than either one of us alone. My capability plus your capability isn't 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 is more of an exponential multiplier when we're working together. It's called synergy. That growth, that power, that ability to influence and accomplish should be a multiplying factor. But it's only the case when you have common goals and a commitment to reach those goals. I've only recently discovered who Elena Cardone is. I've been fascinated with her worldview as I've listened to her. She came from Hollywood. She came from a very different kind of a mindset than what I did growing up in Central Texas. Her ideas about what a family should be and what a woman should be like were a little different when she got married to Grant. What they are now, completely different thing. I challenge you to go to Facebook and just listen to, a dozen or so videos as she has grown over the last 5 or 10 years into an entirely different kind of a spouse. I don't have to tell you who she was and who she is. She'll tell you for herself. Watch the videos. Listen to what she has to say about who she is and how she viewed her relationship early on and how she views it now. She'll tell you they were having some tough times in the first few years, and from her view, it was that they were both being petty. They were fighting over little stuff that really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter at all. And I think I could probably look back to my journal or ask my wife and find that in the first 5 or 10 years of our marriage, we did the same thing. We fought over the petty stuff. The stuff that had no bearing whatsoever other than our own personal appeasement. My happy for the day was all corrupted because you did X. Well, who cares? Get past it. Grow up. Move on. Set some goals. Find some defined accomplishments that together you can do that neither one of you could do alone. That doesn't mean you lose your identity. It doesn't mean you give up on your own goals and ambitions. That doesn't mean you give up on your own relationships. It just means that you change the priorities. But I'll tell you, like Elena says about her and Grant, one of the first things they realized was This life isn't all about me, and it's not all about you, and it is not even all about us. We as a married couple, we as a family have a greater obligation to society and culture. We fit into this world somewhere. And when we can figure out what that is, we can make a genuine difference in the lives of other people. If we spend all of our time in the petty, narcissistic, nihilistic self-absorption that many people do, we are not better together. We're a bunch of BBs in the same bucket, and that's it. Melt them down. Make them one big giant something. Sculpt it into a statue. A brass statue. Something. Do something where together isn't just a bunch of people in the same place, but actually working together as one to accomplish something. That's what leadership is about. We should be influencing people with a greater vision than their own self-satisfaction. We should be influencing people to do something for this globe that we live on, for all these billions of people that we're surrounded by. I have a friend who's working on a project in a foreign nation right now. I think he's made 14 or 15 trips over there. He's asked me to come on board and help with this project. And I can tell you that the project, although I won't tell you what it is right now, I can tell you that this project is one of those that it doesn't just go under the radar of the average everyday person. There are geopolitical, global ramifications to the problem that he wants to address, point out, and then solve. And sadly, no one cares. Tens of thousands of lives hang in the balance in this issue. Nobody seems to care. And the ones who do have the ability to make a change, well, it's profitable for them not to. How scary is that? We're all better together? Well, we're all together on this mud ball that we call Earth for an unknown quantity of time, and most certainly for an unknown quality of time. If we're better together, why don't we start doing something together? Take some time to think as a leader about the impact that you have on this world, the impact that you want to have on this world. Ask yourself realistically, how much of that could I do on my own? There's an old saying that says, if you want to go far, go with someone else. If you want to go fast, you can do that by yourself. Let's partner that together with the one that says that if your dream is so small that you can do it by yourself, you're just not dreaming big enough. We're all better together when we're actually together. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, or Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.